What's up, guys? Welcome to 2023. It's not the way I wanted to start the new year, but it is what it is. So, in July of last year, I did make a mention that my dad was not doing well. And as you've seen, and if you follow me on Instagram and if you've seen my post here on YouTube, dad passed away on Saturday. And I thought that we'd just talk about that today. It's just not like the way it is shown on the movies. When something like that happens. And the poet Sappho said this. She said that to die is evil, for the gods have thus decided. For otherwise they would be dying as well. Another way to put it, another quote interpretation says that if death was pleasant, the gods would be able to die just like mortals, and that death is the great evil, and the gods have judged it so, and that's why they do not die. Not that the god of death is evil, but the act of death, just the passing away, is not a happy thing. And I can tell you one thing, though, this whole journey has been a roller coaster. You have your good days and your bad days, you have your highs and lows, you have hope and despair when you're dealing with someone that you love that's dying, especially with the way it happened. And what got me through this whole thing was my faith and belief that we continue on after this life, that it's not over, that my dad is still around. And that thought made me happy, and it got me through some hard times. And it didn't hit me as hard, maybe, as some, for that thought of knowing that dad continues on. And it made me think of dad when my grandmother died, that he wasn't busted in tears, broken externally, because deep down he knew it, and I believe it, and I know my family does as well, that we continue on, and that doesn't stop the hurt. It's still sad, and it's just the way it is. So I wanted to do this video this year to just let you guys see me again, saying I'm fine, and to honor my dad. I want to do a video that honors dad forever. As long as this channel is up, this video is going to be here, so I could tell you a little bit about dad, and so you guys can know me, and also some of the origins of my name, other than it being, as you've seen, my last name. So the way dad went out, the way he passed away was the best choice, the best way anybody could. It was with family, and it was with a clear mind, and he was able to recognize us. And he went out quick. I always say that it's so he didn't have to suffer long at the end. And he was surrounded by family. He was, like I said, conscious and aware, and we got to say our goodbyes, and he could hear us. I'm so glad I got to say I love you one more time. And the thing about dad, though, was that he was brave all the way to the end. And I think that yeah, you can be brave, but and have fear as well. But bravery means you keep on going, even though you may be a little scared or terrified. You just keep on going, and that's the way he was all the way to the end. Like I said, he was surrounded by family. And to honor him, we had a great funeral. It was a beautiful funeral. Many in attendance. To tell you how loved my dad was, it's no exaggeration that when my sister and brother asked for who's going to be a pallbearer, they got in contact with his boss, and he told them that literally 55 people volunteered to be the pallbearers of my dad. That man was loved. So I know he was loved. And the owner of the company he worked for almost 40 years came. And his direct boss spoke at the funeral. My family, myself got up, got to say something, and it was a beautiful thing. Like I said, death is not, but when you go, everything you want outside of being unconscious, um, happened for my dad. He went peacefully. He was surrounded by family, and he was awake and aware and conscious to hear us as we were telling him the last time that we loved him. You know, I also had a dream, something that comforts me as well. I think about it, and it makes me not happy, but it brings me some peace. Is that a few nights ago I had a dream that I saw Dad smiling with golden light behind him. You know, so I've never seen golden light. You know, they always say golden light, and it's usually a hue of yellow or some off or a brownish color, but this was gold behind Dad. So I'm sad he's gone, but I'm glad he's no longer suffering, because what the future had in store for him was not a life that for anyone. So where he is now, he is free of machines, being the only thing keeping him alive, free of all these tubes. He's in a better place, I'm telling you. The way he was set up with something huge just down his throat just to keep him alive, it was horrifying. And I know that that's no way to live. And like I was saying, he had, just to keep him alive, it was going to be more pain. And the cancer that he had was still there. It wasn't going to change anything. And so it's for the best, really. So I have clear conscience to know that it was really for the best, because we could keep on going, but it's not what he really would want, because it would be no life if, with what continued, with no change, only more pain. But I'm happy to know that he is pain-free. Again, not relying on machines to live anymore. And I'm very lucky to have him as a dad. People say that all the time, so I count myself as blessed to have him as a father. People have told me that they wish that it was someone else besides Dad, that they wish it was their own dad instead of my dad. I don't wish that, but it tells me that he was loved. So I was lucky to have him as a dad. You know, you only get one dad in life, and I got a good one. So, also, what's interesting that you guys don't know is that Pick the Pagan. So I think about this every now and then, the name Pick. So I don't remember. I may have in the past. I've told you that it's based on my last name. But what's interesting, and I've may have mentioned it in videos in the past, another reason is because that was my dad's nickname. It's been a family tradition going back to my grandfather, even his dad. He was a journalist working for a newspaper, and he was Pick. And then my dad was Pick, so it's kind of a tradition to be Pick the Pagan. And I know subconsciously in my head, I was thinking that because I saw Pick the Pagan. It could have taken my last name and done anything with it. And so I take that name and I think of Dad, and that name's going to be there also forever to honor Dad. And I didn't know my grandfather, but it goes to him as well. So yeah, so it's going to stay Pick the Pagan, and obviously, and that's gonna be again another tribute to Dad. So when you hear the name Pick, you can think of me, and also think of Dad. He taught me a lot in life, and he was a good man, and I'm glad that his suffering is over. And again, this video is to honor Dad. Just speak for my sister. I just want to say that if you ever feel like you're really sick, go to the hospital. Go to the doctor, get checked out. So not to dig and say bad things about the certain doctors that we had to deal with, the advice that Dad gave me whenever he was sick and he was dealing with this, he said that If you know there's something wrong, you're not getting an answer from your family doctor, go to the hospital, go to the ER. He was sick for a long time, telling his family doctor, his physician, that he wasn't feeling well, and they could not find anything wrong with him until he got really sick and went to the ER, and they found out in like a second. So he said if he had to do it over again, he would have gone to the emergency room sooner and probably, hopefully, would have been diagnosed. So if you are sick, definitely go get checked out. Don't pray to the gods alone. Pray to the gods for great doctors in your life, to have someone that'll tell you what you have to hear, not what you need to hear or want to hear, what you have to hear. Pray for that. It's a Duffet maxim is to pray for the practical, pray for the realistic. So let's pray and pray for the doctors and thank them for the good ones in your life. A saying that my dad would always say all the time, every time we got ourselves hurt or anything, that's so funny, that my brother says to his kids, that I say to mine, is that it'll feel better when it quits hurting. So we'd scrape her, like my brother said at the funeral, we'll scrape her knee and elbow, we'll trip and fall. And when we were kids, my dad would comfort us and say, you know, it'll feel better when it quits hurting. So I think that's, my wife said that that's the way it is right now. I don't know if it's going to quit hurting, but we are going to keep living. Anyway, guys, this is a tribute to Dad, and to say hello. This is hopefully going to be the only sad video I'm going to bring to you guys for a very long time. I just wanted to share that and get that off my chest for you guys. Some therapy, I guess, and also so you guys know what's going on. And I wanted to share with you that you're not alone if when loved ones pass. It happens to us all, sadly. And I will see you guys again. And I thank you for listening to this video if you made it to the end.